Welcome back to the Enduring Minds podcast, part of the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. If you haven't already rated, subscribed, reviewed, liked, commented on our podcast or the other shows that we have on the network, please go ahead and do that. It helps us get these stories out to many other people. I am one of your hosts, Evan Birch. Jason Bahamundi is not able to join us today. He is currently on his move from LA to Phoenix. So we're going to let him manage that. So for me, I'm just preparing for my first I'll say major ultra distance back from my injury in Tahoe last year. So I'm going to be racing the QMT 135 kilometer out in Quebec at Mont Saint Anne. And I'm really looking forward to it. I had a friend post something this morning that said, sometimes we just have to do things differently. And I feel like that's what this race is going to be for me this year. I'm going to find the line, ride it, and see how long I can hold on for, and see if I can surprise myself. So it's going to be hot, humid, but I'm actually looking forward to it after many cold, chilly races in the past. So I'm looking forward to the heat and the environment, and the people I hear are pretty incredible out there. So I'll be racing out there with my Exact Nutrition athlete team. So I will have completed the race by the time this episode comes out on August 5th. But enough about me. I would like to have a little introduction here for our guest today. You may know him as Mikey, otherwise known as Mikey Kratzer. And in a sport that is often weighed down by the rigid training plans, data-obsessed metrics, and the relentless pursuit of that next PR, really, Mikey is a breath of fresh air. He's a New Balance sponsored athlete, and really like a bona fide legend of the speed project, but he's best known for something far rarer than his finish times. He's managed to keep the play in the sport, which we talk about a lot on this podcast. Mikey has carved out a space where high-level performance and infectious joy don't just coexist, they fuel each other. And today we're going to peel back the layers on the mental side of his craft. We're talking about how he protects his love for running in an industry that tries to professionalize it while raising a family, why he chooses to prioritize energy over output, and how he manages to stay grounded while pushing the absolute limits of endurance. Everybody, I'd like you to welcome Mikey Kratzer to the Enduring Minds podcast.
Wow, that was an introduction. Definitely gonna listen to that one again.
Good. Yeah, you can use that one on all future listings. You just have to put me as a credit underneath of it.
I will.
I feel like I hit a few things on there that I'm sure we're going to talk about today. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with our very simple question: who is Mikey Kratzer?
Yeah, the most complicated question to get asked. Yeah, I think it depends when we met in life. I think for you, I'm an ultra runner. For other people, I'm a DJ or a drunk party goer. So I think it depends, or the cyclist, or for the people at my girls' kindergarten and school, I'm just the dad. So whenever you met me, like one of those should fit.
I think that's I've never heard somebody on our podcast and all of our episodes say it the way you said it, of depending on when we met in life is how you're going to know me and who I am. And I think that's just it's such a cool way to hear that you've been living your life through these stories. And that's what I've seen in you in the conversations that we've already had. We ran Speed Project solo together in 2024. I know you've had many experiences there, and we're going to get into all of those. But that was my experience with you as 2024 when I ran it solo as well. And like, to live life through story, like, what does that mean to you?
I don't know, not to be too fixated on the current state. Like I would never say never to anything. Like I never thought I would be a ultra endurance athlete at some point. I never thought I could make a living as a DJ before.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I would need somebody like my wife and then have children and living with her. Like it's all just like life happens. And if you don't pay attention, you miss it. And I think realizing that a couple years back, yeah, opened my eyes to all the opportunities and to still ride your bike, although you're a runner, or still go to the downhill park if you feel like you want to do it, but not limit yourself to one thing. And I think worked good so far, so I'm gonna continue doing that.
Yeah, the nevers and always that people throw around, or this is the
Yeah,
way, this is the way, this is who I am, and not willing to understand that, you can change. You're allowed to. You don't have
yeah,
to be the
that,
same person you were yesterday, and that can happen with one decision today.
yeah. It's like, oh, I could never run the distance. Like I never thought I would do anything remotely
Mhm.
to that first 10K. I was, this is ridiculous. Why would anyone like dedicate so much time to it?
Yeah.
And then later I'm like, oh man, I'm that guy now. And I talk to people and they're like, oh, I could never have 7 dogs. And I was like, I never thought so too, but somehow we just allowed it to happen. And I think allowing stuff to happen is something that's really rare because people want to have control a lot. And
Mhm.
I think stuff happen. You lose a lot of control, but you gain a lot of experiences.
Yeah, just letting life happen to you as it's unfolding, and not, again, not holding on to something too tightly of the expectations of this is how it's supposed to go. And
Yeah,
the shoulds, the I need tos, the all these words that we throw around about ourselves that limit our ability to actually be where we are, I think is the and I think that's something that's opened my eyes, me going through my mental health journey, doing these distances over that period of time. At the same time as my healing, I was doing these crazy distances. And at first, it was definitely a running away for me. And now it's like I'm doing these things to explore, to have fun, to find the joy in it. And I mean, not everybody's going to find joy in 400, 500 kilometers, but I assure you, you learn a lot about yourself in a very condensed amount of time.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the learning to be vulnerable. Like I think like I ran 100K 2 weeks ago and then a marathon Mont Blanc last weekend. And like, yeah, like I didn't think that on the short distance I would have that deep of a low, but yeah, it
Yeah.
happened. Then you're just really, yeah, vulnerable in that moment. And that's like, yeah, pretty crazy because I thought that it only happens when you go longer, but yeah, be hot. So in your intro, when you said you love the hot, I don't anymore. It's been so hot here in Europe the last weeks. It's horrible. The kids don't sleep. We don't really sleep. It's
Yeah.
cold race next.
That's fair. That's fair. You can come to Canada. We will definitely have one in a few months for sure.
Per-
But yeah, I think in you saying that with the vulnerability and the lows, I think the cool thing about ultra running, and the thing that has drawn me more to it, is the people you get to do it with. And the Speed Project is a perfect example of that. These larger events where you have to have all these crew and these people in order for you to do what you want to do the way you want to do it. And I think bringing those people along with you, and they get to see you at your absolute lowest point. Like, if you want to understand human connection and human interaction, go to an ultra and crew somebody, and you get to see them as their most vulnerable self. Like, they're literally giant babies that you're trying to feed and get moving again. And
Yeah,
I just think it's such a cool experience, and it's not many people can sit in it with people. And I think that's the cool thing about ultra is you're not alone in it. You are running and doing these events with, let's say, 30, 40, 100 other people. Like, you're not the only
yeah,
one that's going through it. And I think that's the cool part about it.
yeah. Shout out to Camille for even touching my feet during this feet project and taking care of them. That was a really selfless act that I really still I'm really thankful for. And yeah, just at the Zugspitze 100, it's supposed to be 100 miles, but it got shortened to 100K. So a lot of people ran without a plan because like the main objective was gone and it was the same distance as we did the year before.
Mhm.
And yeah, I met like one guy after 40K. I had the roughest night I've ever had because it was so warm. I was about to quit at like 11:30, which is only 3.5 hours into the race. And then suddenly on the next downhill, I teamed up with that one dude because he looked really funny. Like,
Mm.
so, and we ended up finishing together. And now we're texting and like plotting next things. So I think it doesn't always happen. It didn't happen at Mont Blanc Marathon, but I think those connections are,
Uh-huh.
yeah, more likely to happen during an event like that. And then like long lasting. Like we met 2 years ago at the parking lot at the end and had like a brief conversation. And yeah, you always bounce back. I think Victor, who did it that year with his family as a vacation, he just finished Western States, and we're
Hmm.
still mind blowing for me that you're still like have all those people, or you go to another race and then you have your little secret society. You just
Yes.
see somebody and you're like, ah, I don't know, the relay with him one year, or I did it solo and met him there. It's pretty wild how small the community is at the end. I mean, you're in Canada, I'm in Germany, and still
Yeah.
we're all so it's wild.
Yeah. I think connecting, especially, there's something about the speed project community, and I'm curious your take on it. I mean, I use the term community lightly because I think community has been, with the run clubs and all these things, I think it's been
Yeah.
a little bit, a little used a little bit too much. So when I say like the speed project group of individuals that are part of that organization and the people who run it, I think every, like, anytime I've been in the States or I've been at other races, we always seem to find each other, or we
Yeah.
like, or we intentionally seek one another out because there's just this different level of bond. And like I've spoken to Nils, the creator of the Speed Project, along with a few others, that I've always found the Speed Project to be like 70s surf culture. That's the best way I can describe it, with the people that are involved. And it's not necessarily like fuck the man. It's more about like, we're doing it our way. And I think
Yeah.
that, that's what I see in you, and that's what I think a lot of people see in the way you're running, and what you're doing is you're doing it your way. So what does it mean to you to like just strip away the data, strip away all the metrics, and just like run your way?
Yeah. I think, yeah, like in the documentary we did, like I don't need a why. Like I just need the act of running somehow. So um yeah, that caught me. It's like, I don't know, someone like last year when I talked to Josh Rosendahl, who also has a podcast, and he has like a whole YouTube series about his why for running, and I looked at it and I couldn't relate.
Hmm.
I also couldn't relate why he like DNF'd, because for me it was like, even if I have to walk it in, I would like, not that DNFing is bad, but I think DNF'd 8 out of 11 100 milers. And I was like,
Hmm.
how can you still like do it? And then he was like, yeah, you didn't have a why at some. And I was like, but like just by doing it, I don't need a why. Like I just look around, like same as I did last weekend. Like I was on the first peak and I could look at Mont Blanc and all the other mountains around. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. Even though in that moment I was really suffering and not going as fast as I wanted. Like, and then I was just like, well, it's like 2 more hours in the mountains than if I don't get my time goal. And
Exactly.
like, if however you frame it, like it's nice to execute on but I think sometimes if you put so much emphasis on it, you miss the point. Like for me, I just like the training for it. So I'm usually like, yeah, even if the race goes shit or something happens, like the training block, if I can look back at the training block and like what I did then, like I'm fine. And I think that a lot of people, yeah, put too much into how it goes then, especially if they're not professional. Then I'm like, yeah, you have no reason to put so much pressure on yourself. Like your close ones won't care, like your kids won't care. Like most likely nobody cares if you came in at 9 or 10 hours or 15 hours for 100 Ks or 21 hours. Like as long as you got the experience out of it that you wanted. Um, yeah, I think that's what you should seek. And not like I need a time goal to like train for something, but also I don't like you need to care a lot about it, but also you don't need to give a fuck about the outcome of it. And I always think it's really funny because you're like trying to handle that, and it's not always easy being like somewhat competitive. But yeah, since I started seeing it that way, I definitely had more fun. If I had better results before, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, you said you have to care, but you have to hold that outcome at an arm's length of, again, as we talked about, not being too tied too closely to what's going to happen. And I think I was definitely guilty of coming into ultra running with that. Like, I need a why. Like, why am I running? And I did a lot of mental health advocacy and fundraising initially,
Yeah.
and then I grew a little bit like, you know what, I can still do the advocacy work, but the run can be for me, and that's okay. Like
Absolutely.
it doesn't always have to be for a cause or for a reason or for somebody else. And that's not, it doesn't have to be deemed as selfish. It has to be, this is my life and my experience. And I can
Yeah.
still speak about the mental health side of things, and I can still go do talks, and I can still speak about it, but I don't
Yeah.
have this like over looming goal of like I need to raise $3,000, otherwise I can't do this run. And it just is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's this weight that's just like this backpack that you're carrying. And I'm like, I wore a backpack for so long of this like mental health side of things, and I'm like, I don't want to wear any more backpacks. Like I don't,
Yeah.
and it's not a bad thing. It's just me realizing and getting that awareness of I still want to run, but I want to do it for me. And this why, in my opinion, you kind of develop your why as you're in the race and as you're running. And
Yeah.
it's constantly changing.
Yeah. But that's like to the stuff we talked about in the beginning. Like you have to allow it. Like
Hmm.
when I was running, it was just because somebody like said we gotta run that 10K on New Year's Eve. And then my stepdad was like, hey, he's gonna run this 10K there. You want to do it? So I hadn't know why. I just was like, yeah, I'm free Saturday. Like I'll come join you. And then it was like, hey, we started a run club like 2016 or 17. And then we were like, hey, we want to all try to run sub 3 at one point, do the TSB together and run comrades. So comrades didn't happen yet, but everything else happened with it. And then I kind of outgrew that and yeah, didn't want to be like the run club guy that devotes so much time to others and they sometimes don't really appreciate your work or just want something from you. And then I outgrew that, but that run club is still existing with more members than ever and they're doing their thing and I have nothing to do with it. But it was also like having to let that go was like a step of being like, I'm not the guy with the run club now, it's just me.
Hmm.
And then dipping in and out of like road racing and then trails, I think that's why after 14 years, I still love it so much because I can run it my way. Like I cannot do a race for a year and still have this like same experiences or like I can just try FKTs or just do long routes, hiking routes around where I live. Like there's so many ways to do it and that's why I always dislike it when people are like dooming running to be anything because of the run clubs or because Western states get so professional now. I'm like, then don't do it. Still do the bear. Like go do the hurt. Like just like do your local whatever race.
Hmm.
Like oh way to do it. I didn't do any UTMB race for 14 years. Like this year were the first two UTMB races because I want to do UTMB when I'm still able to run somehow fast.
Hmm.
Like I want like but I also was never against people doing it. And I think yeah, just not judging people so much helped me to just be like, yeah, I wouldn't do it that way, but also like who am I to judge why he does it? Like maybe he needs it at that point or she. So it's always like yeah, really funny when you're in a big group and you hear all those opinions. And for me, it's just like observing, and I'm like I always feel like really outside of the conversation because I usually don't have a lot to say in those situations because I don't feel the need to judge any of it. Also, like in podcasts when there's like a hot take of something, I'm like, I don't like really feel the need to like bash on anybody like BPN in their backyard. Like, great, like they're running. Like, would I join there? I don't think so. Like, that's probably not my people, but probably also I would bond with people there. So like
Mhm.
what a lot of stuff where I'm like, I don't understand why people take so much time out of their day to like write or like respond to stuff where I'm like, you could like just switch this off, turn down the
Go for a
computer,
run.
do like I don't understand it, but yeah, some people might get something out of it. But yeah, that's been really a funny observation over the last 3 or 4 years where I was like, yeah, like I have opinions about stuff, but also I'm not an expert in anything, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's the verbalization of the opinion that is just like inciting people to just like join and have that groupthink mentality where everybody is just joining on top of one another, and you're like, well, there's no benefit to any of this, right? So it's
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, just go like put your keyboard away and go for a run. It's yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a lot of insecurity sometimes where you're just like, yeah, you're so insecure about it that you have to have a strong opinion. And I don't think that I have that anymore. I think, yeah, I'm pretty solid now
yeah,
and don't have to buy into any of that. Like the satisfied thing with the circle pit, I thought that was hilarious.
yeah.
Like taking it so hard, and I was like, they're just invited people they're close to or like out of their network to hang out, listen to bands, and run on a pump trick. Like, what the fuck? Like, why are you even like? I don't understand. If I watch TV and see something I don't want to see, I'm like switching the channel. Like, I don't understand why it was even a subject like this. Or Sage Kennedy and Cameron Haynes was also hilarious. Like, how does he have so much time? I looked and he commented under every comment. I was like, dude, like how?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really funny.
I think you hit something on the nail on the head with this though. Of like we're talking about people that are fairly influential in the ultra running space in the world. Everybody who is in the ultra running space or has been for a while probably knows these individuals. And I think the unique thing is about the way that you're doing it, and maybe even like the stuff I do with my running with my dog. Like it's not conventional. Like not everybody is going to go out and do the things that we're choosing to do. And I think like I've kind of taken the stance for myself of I kind of want to not maybe necessarily like do the opposite of what everybody else is doing, but I want to choose to do things that are maybe out there that people haven't thought of, changing the perception of what ultra running is for people. And that's like
Yeah,
my big thing now is like I want to challenge myself. Yes, maybe I'm going to go after some crazy goals still, but I also don't want to do what everybody else is doing.
yeah. I think it gets boring really fast. And that's why I love to switch it up either with like races or objectives. And yeah, that's why I don't really need a why. I just think of something or I watch the documentary about the world and now I'm like, yo, that would be sick to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like inspired by them because it's also like they just decided that that's like a loop now, and then some of them did it, and then now it came all the way over YouTube to me, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then you can look at stuff that's close where you could open your own loop like that and try to make it a thing or not, or just do it for yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, the people that criticize stuff like that the most are the ones that go the most traditional way, and that's why they're pissed off about like the Boston qualifier. You have to be fast. Yeah, you have to be fast for it, but there's 20 million marathons that are not
Mm-hmm.
having any entrance things like where you have to have a time before. It's just like
Yeah.
that's their thing. Like Western states only lets 360 people run. Like if you can't deal with it and you don't want to wait so long, it's like don't be so buttered about it. Do something else. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to take a little bit of a U-turn, and I want to go
Yeah,
back to the Mikey that other people may have met earlier
yeah,
on before running, because I think I really like to understand people's stories, because I think it all intertwines to how we become ultra runners and how we get into different things. So
yeah,
I want to take you back to like childhood 10, 11, 12-year old Mikey who hasn't even thought about ultra running yet. Like, what were you into? What were you wanting to do? Or I mean, I hate this question because I never ask my kids it, but like, what did everybody ask you of, like, what does Mikey want to be when he grows up? Like, what did you want to do at
yeah.
that point?
I think it was the transition. Like I moved to Germany. Yeah, when I was like 5 or 6. Yeah, so I was in Germany then, and in Germany you play soccer. So till the age of like 11, 12, I was playing soccer like everybody. But then I discovered skateboarding. And
Mhm.
then as I dedicated everything to running now, I dedicated everything to skateboarding then. And through that, in skateboard videos, you would get your like musical education. Like I could still name probably every song of the Foundation, Art Bars and Sequels video, or Zero Misled Youth. So through that, like got into like punk rock and hardcore. And that's when like yeah, then at some point DJing came in, so it was like a natural progression through those. And then with DJing came a lot of drinking and also in skateboarding before. And then it was
Mhm.
just like, this is not really healthy.
Yeah.
And in the switch, because in school, I was like in a sports school. So I did like a couple of triathlons through the school back then, which I didn't like, but you had to choose something, and I didn't want to play basketball. I didn't want to play soccer anymore. So that was something that I wanted to do because he had more free time than the others because he had to train for 3 different things. So I was like, less school is better. I underestimated that you have to swim a lot, which I hate. So
Me too. Me too.
yeah, but yeah, partying and everything. Yeah, there was a picture I think with my son, and I'm really, really not overweight, but I look chubby.
Mhm.
And I like, oh shit, like this is out of control. And then I remembered like there was still like a sporty side in me. And yeah, then I first cycled a lot. And then due to kids, it switched to running. And then yeah, I just ran with that. So it was always like a kind of natural progression with stuff I already did. My dad was like a really good cyclist. He used to cycle with Greg LeMond in Reno. So while I was in the States still, he would be on the rollers watching the Tour de France. So I think, like, although you don't remember it, I
Mhm.
think every at that age leaves a mark. So I used to do the cycling and everything. And then, yeah, out of necessity, it switched to running. And yeah, here we are, 40 years.
Yeah, and I think like I said, everybody's story has this like little bit of a progression, little influences. The funny thing is there's so many runners that we have interviewed on this podcast now that all started by playing soccer. I don't know what it is about football, soccer, depending on what part of the world you're listening to this, but I don't know what it is. I mean, I was the kid that liked to stay on the field all the time. So I wouldn't go off. Everybody else would sub off and I would just switch positions because I wanted to keep playing. So that just
Yeah,
like, I think back to why do I love ultra running so much? It's because like, I like running. I like being on the
yeah,
field. I like competing. I like playing. So it's very interesting you talk about the soccer and the football in that regard.
yeah, yeah. That was like my whole life.
Yeah, I
Was
totally feel that for sure.
my stepdad was a like coach at the club I played at. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was just soccer all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we're on Enduring Minds podcast, and you know I was going to get into this eventually. the mental health side of things, and the resilience, the vulnerability, all of these pieces are all tied to what we do as ultra runners. But it starts way earlier in our lives, when before we even get into running, before anything happens. So at what point was there like a tipping point at any point within your own mental health, whether it be from the skateboarding to the DJing to the drinking to the getting into ultra running to the you're discussing like not seeing what you liked in the mirror? Like,
Yeah.
walk us through maybe like one thing that might have been like a tipping point for you that you had to work through personally in any one of those endeavors.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like really easy when I stopped drinking 10 years ago. I think that was the point when you look back and realize that like I probably was depressed a lot, and that's why I did drink a lot then, or surrounded myself with a lot of people. So I think, yeah, that was exactly the point when like pinpoint at it, and it was also the point when it began to be talked about by a lot of people, which yeah, I think it's crazy that it took that long. I mean, we had a loss in the TSB family just recently, which came like
Mhm.
reminded me that it's like, yeah, it can always like creep back, and you still have to like have your exit plans or your way to fight against it. But yeah, there's just been so many suicides through depression that nobody talks about, but it happens so frequently. And then, yeah, if I talk to my parents or my wife's parents, they're like, "Oh, are you sure it was suicide?" And then you're like, "Hey, like open your eyes." Like
Mhm.
it's, you know what I mean? And I think now you can like talk about it and you can let people know, but yeah, growing up you just weren't allowed to do it. And I think that's why it seems like a lot of people are depressed now. But I think it has always been that way, but they weren't allowed to talk through it. And that's why also now a lot of the younger people, they don't even start to drink because they address their feelings before they start to drink, and so they don't have to do
Mhm.
something or anything. And I think it's really funny because I live in a rural part of Germany where drinking is like really cultural. So moving here, being tattooed, vegan, not drinking, yeah,
Those don't connect to any dots
no.
whatsoever.
And then I have 7 dogs, and my kids are really outspoken, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first months here were definitely interesting. But also there, you're just like talking to somebody and you can clearly say it's like a depression, and then you're like trying to get them like maybe you should talk to somebody professional, and they're like, no, I'm okay. And I was like, "Ooh, does not really sound like it." So yeah, maybe I was lucky to be in all the subcultures that there was already a theme in, like hardcore music, punk rock. I think there it has always been something that's been addressed. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe in other subcultures or ways of living, it's still not getting addressed, and that's why it's still happening so often.
Yeah.
Seemingly by the person that smiles the most is like the funniest because he has the most to kind of work against. I don't know.
Yeah, having worked in emergency services, I can't say that black humor the is the way that not everybody, I will say the majority of people cope with
Yeah,
the level of trauma and the other things that you have to hear and experience, because if you don't do that, then you have to actually deal with it. And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
like it's a way of like, again, keeping it like at arm's length and going like, whoa, like you can sit over there, I can make fun of you, but that doesn't get rid of it. No different than what you were talking about with the alcohol. Is like the alcohol was like numbing it and managing the symptoms for you, because you got to like escape into the alcohol, or in the altering world, whether it be gambling or drugs or eating
yeah,
disorders,
yeah,
whatever that might be. It's you're kind of dropping in and numbing yourself because you haven't been able to meet something within yourself yet. And I think
yeah,
that's the underlying thing that people need to understand is, whether you're an alcoholic, whether you're a drug, like under a drug addiction, that is a symptom, not the actual problem. The problem is like the trauma and the unmet like needs that you haven't been able to speak about because
Yeah.
of the shame that we've all been told that we shouldn't be speaking about it. So what's
Yeah.
happening is like it's this like shame spiral that's just like keeping
Yeah.
you trapped the entire time. And
Yeah.
I lived it for a long period of time, and we've had enough guests on here now, and I've been in contact with a lot of people that shame is the overwhelming feeling that many people have as to why they don't speak.
Yeah. 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 And in ultra running, like I don't know how many people I met who had like it was all too similar where like, oh my God, like of course you had some sort of like substance abuse, whatever before, and then like navigated to it. And that's why then people are asking, what are you running away from? And you can reframe it then like I'm running towards something better than what I had before, because what I had before was something I really tried to hide away. Um, yeah, but yeah, they come from soccer and then they go to ultra distance running.
Yeah, I can confirm there's two of us sitting right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'm curious because and only because my kids mentioned it a little while ago because they're at the age now where they're googling me on the internet at school and showing all their friends what pops up on YouTube all the time, and
Yeah.
it's like my documentary with me and my dog, and
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, have your kids ever Googled you and like are their friends like do their friends know who you are or do they just know you as like dad?
No, I like I said, the small ones are 5 and 9, so they definitely don't do it. But my daughter definitely lets everybody know that I run a lot. And my son, he turns 18 this year. But yeah, we had a funny situation last year. He was at a friend's house and he came back like super lit up and he was like, yo, like I was at my friend's house and like the dad is so cool. Like he listens to metal and has all those tattoos. And I was like, hi. He was like, nah, you're just dad.
uh,
Internally, he's still proud of what I do, but he would never vocalize it because it's
yeah,
uncool. Because I'm
yeah.
just his, but
I always,
never.
I always, I always get told by my kids' friends that I'm too serious whenever I come and like pick them up or drop them off places. They're like, "Your dad's
Yeah.
so serious." You never. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it's funny how you get labeled with those things, but yeah, it's wild
No,
what kids can find on
you know,
YouTube and stuff these days. Every now and then.
there has been a lot of interest in what I do since like I don't know how you call it, like on Arte, it's like a German French television thing. They did visit me and we talked about all that stuff. And before that, everybody was just like really questioning what I do. But since it's been like in a media
Hmm.
that's like kind of like yeah, it legitimizes what I do. Suddenly everybody in the street was like, "Oh, like we saw your documentary," and like suddenly it switched from like, "Oh, that dude doesn't have a job and runs every day," to like, "Oh no, he's like actually like a pretty decent being and everything." But it was really funny that yeah, that happened like yeah, 4 years back or something. And by accident, because the guy they wanted to film it with, he moved to South Africa and he couldn't move back because he was in the visa process. And then he was like, hey, you should visit him. And through that, like I got a whole nother standing here, and suddenly everybody was interested in the running stuff. And like I run a marathon too. And then suddenly it like broke the barrier because maybe I look a bit intimidating, although I don't really think
Yeah,
so. But yeah, that definitely broke a barrier. And since then, like there was one group doing 100-kilometer walk here, and I kidded them with New Balance stuff before, and like one of them wants to do like a proper ultra now because the walking was too slow for him. And I thought that was like really showing of if you like I've always been open, but I had like the assist now, then people like
yeah.
come and yeah, ran with some of them, and then we talked about the same stuff we talk now, like being vulnerable and how much you get humbled in running, especially over the longer distance. Like you
Mhm.
think right in training, but then yeah, like the weather or wrong shoe choice, bad day, and then you're like super humbled, although you feel I'm the fittest and I should be in contention for, I don't know, a podium top 10. You're like 220th and you're like, all right, like maybe not so good today.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to gravitate towards people like yourself in the running space because they're tired of this performance always on mentality of understanding like you can have both. Like you can be a very fast elite athlete, you can still enjoy play and have fun. It doesn't have to be this like performance first mentality. And I mean, I think you would have seen a perfect example is like Rachel Entrekin at two golden Cocodona 250. Like
Yeah,
the amount of joy that you can see that she's experiencing while she's doing these things, like I think it
yeah,
just like it gives you just like another level to draw from that performance can't like do everything. There has to be something
yeah,
internal within you to be able to pull from.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like, especially over those like crazy long distances, if you only have like a goal in mind there, I think it's really, really hard to overcome the hard parts in between. Like I I would never want to be a professional runner that has to do that every other week
Mhm.
just to value. Because like at the end of the day, like there's only that many races where you can finish first, and if there's like 20 other people there and they happen to be faster than you on the day, then you're still worth your self-love and you shouldn't be like too hard on it because at the end like we're just all adults like going out to play in the woods or the mountains, like it should not be that serious.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something there too of, like you're at a level where your running is affording you like a little bit of a lifestyle that you've created for yourself. Yet you've like maintained this kid in a candy store energy that most athletes lose once they sign a contract. So like,
Yeah.
how do you actively protect that joy from being commodified in ultra running for yourself?
Yeah, by choosing, like, first of all, I don't have to do like UTMB in Western States every year, which seems like all the pros like either they're doing the golden ticket races and then have to do Western States, or they're hyper fixated on UTMB. For me, it's more like I don't know, like probably planning to come to Canada next year to do a race with you, or like Marius, the guy I ran the Zugspitz with, like trying to do another run with him. Like I'm gonna go to Garmisch again in 2 weeks to train for TDS there. And then for me, it's just like picking stuff that's like challenging, but like interesting to me. Like, yeah, doing the Zugspitze like 3 years in a row, I could feel as soon as the distance went from 100 miles to 100K, I really didn't know what to do with the race because I
Hmm.
didn't want faster than the year before because I knew that I didn't train for a fast 100K. And then we kind of started and like nobody, like you didn't have like that like energy. Like everybody was kind of clueless because we did get the email 3 hours before the race. So we
Yeah.
had like all the aid station plans, like everything was super dialed. I was supposed to take like a 2 hour nap before the start, and then suddenly we had to change everything. But then, yeah, I met that guy and we made the best day out of it. Like it took us 5 hours more than the year before. But yeah, we had super meaningful conversations, and then yeah, we didn't talk for a while, and then in the end, he had like knee problems, and he was like, "Yeah, go ahead, like you're faster." And I was like, "Why would I leave you alone now? Like when we're so close, like we toughed it out together all day in really hard conditions." Like, but yeah, through that, I think I keep it fun, and also like sprinkling in a road marathon every once in a while where you just have like a quote unquote easy training plan because you just follow a plan then. I think it's really
Hmm.
hard to, you have to be really creative to train for trail with what you have. Like I only have small mountains here, and because of the family, I can't go to the big mountains every other weekend. So I have to be really creative with getting work in here so it's not getting boring. But that's all kind of part of the process where why I always say like kind of an art form trail running because you dictate like all the variables of your training and how you want to pursue it. And then like all of us like fill their canvas differently and then we all line up together still at the same race. But your way there was way different than mine, and yet we're still on the same starting line, which
Hmm.
I always think is really funny. Last year, two friends from Hamburg did the race, and I was really, really scared for them because the highest point of elevation they have is 80 meters, 80-meter hill or on the Stairmaster. And then they were like, yo, we did so much vert on the Stairmaster. And I was like, that's really cool. But did you consider the downhills like 60, like 6,000 meters of downhill running? That's gonna be something. But yeah, they did it. I don't think they had a lot of fun on the last downhill, but yeah. That was really funny. So we also did the same race, although I had at least 500 meters to work with, which was really funny. But my
That's-
quad's the last downhill, so
So
maybe it does.
I know we touched on you being a connector within the community. I say community again, but a connector within the running space. I'm going to say it that way.
Yeah,
And like, what does all these relationships and all these friendships and all these connection points that you've made for other people, what does it mean for you to be able to be a person that people look up to in this sense? And also, what does it mean for you to be able to give back in the way that you have been able to the sport?
I think it's like the most important part is knowing wherever you go, I'll probably meet somebody that I already connected with or that knows somebody I already connected with, and then you have an like initial bond together, which I always think is crazy. And yeah, I think if it wouldn't be like that, that I would not be in that space so much. Like I think in the States or Canada, you have like your track and field career, blah blah blah, and everybody kind of has to do it. That way, no, like not a lot of people pursue it afterwards because it's like kind of a forced community then, or like
Mhm.
a group of people you have to hang with. And I think in trail running, it's more like, yeah, like-minded people gravitate towards each other. And at some point, it's like a lot of people. So um, that also inspire each other. Like your movie with your dog, like my dogs are sprinters, so I can't run that long with them. They would fucking hate me if I would do something like that. But it's really inspirational. Or like, yeah, like Tommy runs doing Western States was pretty epic to find out last year and see him doing that because I met him at London Marathon where I told him about the speed project and he was like, "Oh, I could never do that." And then the year after he signed up for it and did it. And then he was like, "Yo, this trail thing is pretty dope." And then he was like, "Yo, got a sponsor spot for Western States." And I was so happy for him to experience that. And I think, yeah, we all kind of like yeah, we all inspire each other to do the next thing and then sometimes do it together. Lydia, for example,
Mhm.
she well, and like we try to find a project together, but every time I see what she's up to, I'm like, yo, like this is just sick. Like there's a reason why we connected at the first place. You know what I mean? That's when also social media isn't bad because I'm still connected to you, to her, to Niels, to everybody else. And yeah, I'm gonna probably meet Max, who with maths is the reason why the Atacama TSP existed. And
Mhm.
through the Vert Run app. He was my coach for TSP and is now my coach for TDS. And he's gonna be at Lenny and Garmisch, so we're gonna hang out there. It's like they're from Chile. Like
Mhm.
it's just such a small word, but we all kind of found each other, I think, for a reason.
Yeah, and I I think the cool thing is again, if we go back to kind of your path through skateboarding to DJing, I'm sure there's probably a group of people you drank with as well too, maybe a connection to the DJing. But in all of
Yeah,
those groups, it's like you had this like we'll use the word tribe, but you had this like group of people that you all
absolutely.
were connected because you were doing these things together. And I think
Yeah.
as we go through life and we change our stories and we change who we are, and we grow up, we have kids, we have families, we have all these other things, it would be silly us for us to think that we're going to be the same person throughout that
Yeah.
entire trajectory. So it's like you you keep finding these pockets of people that you're like, these are my people right now, and I'm happy with this, and I get to connect. And you know what? In 10 years from now, that group of people might change. Some people might stay on, some people might morph out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just think like that's what it's about. Like life is about finding these people that you can, like you said, let life happen to you with. And I think that's such a beautiful way to move through it.
Yeah, I think Anton Krupicka said it once, like he's always like the naked running guy, but like that's not him now anymore, and I can really relate to it. Like I would be so bored if next year I would be the same person I am now, because then for me, no progress happened or anything. So like yeah, every year when I look back, like hopefully a lot of stuff happened, a lot of unexpected stuff happened, and it can be good or bad. But if yeah, nothing would happen, I don't know if I would enjoy it. And I just went to a concert with my son a couple months back, and we went to the club I used to DJ at, and it was still the same. Like nothing in there changed. Like we went down there and I got PTSD. I was just like, wow, nothing here changed. Like, and there was even a lot of familiar faces, and I was like, how like they're still all here doing like the same stuff week in without. And then at the other hand, like if they're happy like that, it's really admirable. But for me, it would be absolutely nothing to just have the same year all over again, like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean at that point you're not, well, you're not really growing, you're just staying comfortable. And I think that's
Yeah,
the thing that I'm hearing from everybody we've spoken with, you, me, myself, like all the conversations we have, staying comfortable is what is keeping people stuck right now. And
yeah,
that to me is like, step out of your comfort zone, try something new. Like, I mean, like I'm
yeah,
racing this weekend, and I told
yeah,
myself that, did I have, was my training block less than what I probably should have for 135 kilometers on paper? Absolutely.
yeah,
100% is. But I'm not going to let that be the story that I tell myself as I
yeah,
walk into this, because it doesn't matter. Like how I
yeah,
am on the day that I show up on is what matters. So for me, it's like I'm going to push it. I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to
yeah,
challenge myself. And if I have to walk it in, like you said, then I'm going to walk it
yeah,
in. And
yeah,
I need to figure out what my line is before I can really know what I'm capable of. And I've never allowed myself to go to that place. And that was what Tahoe last year was supposed to be until I rolled my ankle 10K in.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
I'm like taking that same mentality that I walked into Tahoe with into this race, going, let's see what happens.
yeah.
No questions asked. And I think that living on that other side of comfort is where you're going to see the most growth.
Yeah, especially after coming back from an injury. Like I, knock on wood, like didn't have any crazy injury, but like minor setbacks in between. And the feeling I had when I couldn't do what I wanted to do, you can cycle then if you're lucky or do something, but it's just not the same. So yeah, between I think New Year and Christmas, I took like 3 weeks off running because I thought I had a stress fracture, which luckily wasn't one. But those 3 weeks showed me how precious it is to not go over it, and that's why I didn't finish TSB the year we ran it together, because I had such a great schedule for the year and was like, hey, I had a great experience here, and I don't want to ruin it
Mm-hmm.
just by being like toughing it out and walking it in, there's always a time to do that. And sometimes it's like smarter to not do it. And I think, yeah, only if you went over a couple times, you can like kind of acknowledge um, that, yeah, that balance between like staying within the comfort zone and like, okay, this is like just me being a bitch, or like, no, this is me seriously getting hurt.
Hmm.
That was also like a 14-year long process to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on in my body. And now when people have no body sense, when you ask them a question and they have no feeling for their body, I'm always super surprised how out of tune they are, but then it makes sense because like you don't have a great sensation walking from work to the couch to the bar to wherever without ever challenging yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just observation.
Yeah, definitely can agree with that 100% of what you're speaking about there for sure. And I think the cool thing is that we are like, I mean, we can change on a moment's notice. We get a choice, and I think that's the cool thing is we get to choose. Everything is a choice. We get to choose. So I think that's the beautiful part about moving ahead and doing what we're doing. And yeah, I mean, I do want to ask like one or two more questions here before we wrap up. And one of them is, how do you want your kids to remember you as not a runner, not a skateboarder, not a DJ, like as a father? Like how do you want to be remembered outside of the running space to your kids?
Yeah, super easy that I was always there. I think the perception in our friend group is that I'm gone a lot for like racing and training. But through that, I can bring my kids to school and kindergarten every day and spend like a lot of afternoons with them that I probably could not if I would work full time.
Hmm.
Although this is a full-time job, but yeah, being just present, I think that's the word I would want it to say when they talk about me. Like nothing shiny, just he was always present and there.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what I want for me, for my kids, for sure, to how I want to be remembered. There's no doubt. I know we could literally go on for hours. I know that for sure. So before we get to my last questions, where can everybody find you? Where's the best place to see what you're doing? Documentaries, work, the all the runs you're on. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I think easiest is Instagram, Mikey underscore Kratzer underscore, I think. And then on the TSP YouTube, you can find the documentary about TSP last year. And I think I have one of those things on Instagram where you click on that you can go to the podcasts, but I'm not so sure.
Sounds
But yeah, Instagram is easy. Then just slide in the DMs.
okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to ask this final question. It's another easy one for you. Where is your mind after this conversation today, Mikey?
Oh, definitely. Really curious about your next race, like how it goes for you. I'm always so curious, like when you know something else, put as much work in, and then it's like, yeah, finishing the last bits till TDS healthy. Yeah, that's my two thoughts right now.
Nice. Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I mean, sounds like you got a busy year ahead still, which is fantastic. You busy in the good sense of being able to have things
Yeah,
to work towards, and I think that's the key is not being too busy, but being busy enough that you feel like you're moving the needle forward just a little bit in your own life as well too. So,
yeah, I think
um,
big learning to learn to say no to stuff.
mhm.
Too much. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
subtracting things is always harder than adding. There is no doubt.
100%, yeah. Yeah, I hope you have a really, really great comeback race and then that we get to race together at some point. That
Absolutely,
would be
absolutely.
Absolutely.
We will find a race or a project. I have no doubt. There's I think you I think you would get along with I think you probably already listened to his episode. I think we chatted about this, Jesse Hoffman. I think you
Yeah,
listened to his episode. I think you and Jesse would get along extremely well. So there's definitely some Canadian connections that we can make happen, and
sick.
we'll definitely come up with something. So thanks
Yeah,
for your time, Mikey. I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. And for all those listeners, go out, check out what Mikey's doing. And I think he's definitely one to follow if you're wanting to do something different in the running space and not follow the same old people.
thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Mikey. All right, everybody. So that was Mikey Kratzer. So excited to have him on the podcast. Become a good friend of mine. I know we live on the other side of the world, but it is something that I really encourage. Just like Mikey said, make those connections, keep those people close to you, because you never know when you're going to interact or who you're going to know and how you're going to touch each other's lives. I think is the important part. And we're already talking about sending pen pal things back and forth between our kids. So there's lots of opportunities to do things that maybe just think outside of the box. And I know for our listeners, they're going to take a lot away from this episode. I know for me, it's really that piece of understanding that letting life happen to you, I think, is super important. That's definitely something I'm taking away from Mikey today. I know Jason would probably have something similar as well too if he was with us today. But that's really the piece that I'm taking away from today. So if you haven't already subscribed, reviewed, commented on the podcast, please follow the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, as well as watching and subscribing to any of our other shows. Until next time, everybody, keep going the distance and breaking the silence together. Thanks so much, everybody.